Sometimes God is not going to talk to you, and sometimes it's going to be a no. And sometimes you're going to be praying for your loved one to get healed, and it's not going to happen. And you're going to get angry with God, and you're going to blame God. And sometimes it's a child at their deathbed, and the parents are praying away, and that child still dies, and they say, Lord, we've served you, we've had faith, why couldn't you do this? And sometimes God will keep quiet. And sometimes a man will pursue a woman. He'll fall in love, and he will not get her. It will not carry God's blessing. And sometimes it will be a woman who's waiting for this man, and she will say a certain prayer, and this man will not marry her. He will move on, and she'll be heartbroken because she'll be like, but I prayed for this. He was the right guy. He was perfect. And sometimes you'll be praying for a business deal to go through, and it won't go through. And sometimes you'll be praying for your business, and your business will go down. Your ministry will go down. And you will get to the point where you're angry with God. You don't trust God. And you're like, I had faith. I did all the works. I did everything right. I fasted and prayed. I repented. I've applied every single teaching. And yet this thing has happened. Why? And you'll get angry with God. And many people will leave God, and they'll say, how could God not do this thing? I've been there. I go through it often. There's many things that are the desires of my heart, and I've prayed. It hasn't come to pass. It hasn't happened. And going to the Bible, you see that many people in the Bible, they prayed. When those things were happening with Job, I'm telling you, Job prayed. I can tell you, he must have prayed, and he said, God, please, please. God didn't answer him. God was quiet. Jesus went 3 times into the garden and prayed, and he said, not my will, but your will be done. But he said, I ask that this cup be removed from me, a cup of judgment and wrath and trauma. Everything was about to come on the Lord, and he started to feel it. He was getting close, and he prayed, and he said, let this cup be removed from me. 3 times. He was sweating blood. But did he hear a no? Was there no answer? The angels came to comfort him, and he knew he had to go through with it. And then there's David. His son is born with Bathsheba, the first son, or first child, and that child dies, even though David is fasting and praying. Didn't get the answer that he wanted. Didn't get the prayer answered. And this can happen to many of you. And I just wanted to say this. I don't understand the mind of God and the heart of God. I don't see the future. I don't have everything under control. But God does, and only God can answer you. And some people are very angry with the Lord because something didn't go their way. But at the end of the day, when we prayed, God's will be done. That God's will be done. And sometimes the thing that you think God is going to give you is not. It's not. And you and I get emotionally attached, but God is, working in the spiritual realm, logically arranging things. Because ask anyone who's married to the wrong person and they're suffering today. God would have told them, no, don't do it. Ask anyone who's in ministry and they weren't called into ministry, and their ministry is, their family has fallen apart, their ministry is falling apart, the congregation is lost. It's because they did something they weren't supposed to do. But we don't have all the answers. We will never know. Why is it that a young child will die when the parents have done everything right? Why is it that the parents die and the children have to be orphaned? We don't know these things. I mean, I've prayed for a woman's husband. He was in hospital, dying of cancer. We prayed for him, believer. He died. And I was like, why would this happen? Why would God allow this man to leave his wife behind with 4 children? I don't know. We don't have the answers. But one thing I can tell you is at the end of David's life, he was glorified in heaven. Today he is with God, and everything he needed to know is now being answered. Jesus took on everything, but he was glorified, he was honored, and he is the King of Kings. And then there's Job. Job got everything back double. And what I want to say is there could be a season that you and I are in where God has kept very quiet, It's not the right time, or God has said no. And this is some of the hardest things to go through, is when you feel like, Lord, I wanted that, I needed that, I desired that, and you didn't get it. But I just wanted to say this. It is tough. It is. I know. But one day God will give you the wisdom or the revelation or the understanding. But for now, carry on just seeking Him. Don't hold back on what God has called you to do, because God didn't give you something, or God didn't resurrect or save someone for you. God has the answers. We don't. So what I've learned is, I've learned to just trust God. And yes, there's been times where I put my head in my pillow and I would scream of anger. There's times where I'm talking to you in this car that I've banged this steering wheel, I've hit this window, I've banged this dashboard, I've got angry. There's times when I felt like, honestly, I was going to lose it. And I felt like the Lord is punishing me. And whenever I talk on really, really hard topics, my ears itch. It's the weirdest thing. But I've learned to just somehow trust God. And maybe in 6 months or a year's time, you'll have the answer or the confirmation. Who knows? But God is working on your life. Don't give up on Him. Just seek Him. Sometimes I've learned not to question God. I do question God, but sometimes I've learned, Lord, you're not going to give me the answer here, so I'm just going to leave it. But God has something in store, better. But we don't have the answer, so I can't tell you why a certain person that you love has left you, or why a certain person you love died, or why they're suffering today. I don't know. But each person has lived a certain life, and sometimes they are responsible for their own choices and their own suffering. And then we want to now petition, and we want to pray for them. And sometimes it's between them and God. And sometimes when it's a child, we don't have the answers. We don't. So I just wanted to leave that with you. And I hope that this has blessed you. Type amen if it has. Save it and share this with someone, because somebody needs to hear this. You won't always get your way, but it's better that God gets His way. It's better. His will, His plan is better. I've learned to trust this and live. God bless you guys. I'll see you on my next video. Ciao.